Welcome to the Empowered Life podcast with Dustin Vaughn Warncke. Join Dustin as your guide to learning about unlocking your life's ultimate potential. Through inspiring conversations with special guests and proven wisdom, Dustin explores the interconnected values of personal growth, professional success, and a wholesome life filled with love and light. This show is based on tactical and practical concepts for life's greatest successes and achieving your goals, while also being full of inspiration to help you live your best life right now. Discover how to cultivate a mindset of empowerment, achieve success, and create a meaningful impact on the world around you, all while living with purpose, meaning, and significance. Dustin is a former associate publisher of Texas Fish and Game magazine, the author of over 10 books, owner of his own digital marketing agency, an outdoor TV show host, a video and podcast producer. And he will also become one of your best friends forever. Now, get ready to get inspired to live in gratitude. Here's your host, Dustin Vaughn Warncke.
Welcome to our podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking out our podcast, watching, reading, listening. We really appreciate it. Today I've got a great little kind of panel of people who have done great service. And I'm going to have each of you guys introduce yourselves. Go right ahead.
Okay, I'll go first. My name is Molly Williams. I'm from Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I joined Aggies Without Limits, or AWL, in 2016. And I was 20, now I'm 28. So definitely I loved it. It's all I did during my college time. I went on 4 or 5 projects, and I was president for the 2018-2019 Guatemala water project. So that's kind of my story.
Great. Next. Who wants to be next?
Hi everyone, my name is Diana Jaramillo. I'm from Hatch, New Mexico. I'm currently a senior at NMSU. I've been in AWL for 3 years now, going on my 4th year, and I was president for 2 of those years and moving on to be an international project manager this year.
Hi everybody, I am Lynette Gutierrez. I joined AWL last fall, 2024. I'm going to start my 2nd year, and I will be an outreach coordinator.
Wonderful.
My name is Kenny Stevens. I'm one of the advisors of the group. I've been with the bunch since 2007. I am part-time faculty in the College of Engineering at NMSU. And I've been on, 18 projects.
Wow. Kenny, that's amazing. And all of you guys are just, that's amazing. That's wonderful. So whatever you got, who else is left to introduce?
Hey everyone, my name is Daniel Gomez. I joined AWL in 2022. And I've been with the program for about 3 years. I was a local project manager for 1 year, and my last year I was vice president, and I recently graduated in May. And yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Naila Salinas. I'm from El Paso, Texas. I've been with AWL for 3 years now, going on 4. Hopefully this next one is a good one. I used to be project manager and treasurer for the organization, and yeah, it's been a pleasure being part of it and looking forward to what comes next.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, who else? Anybody else besides Tammy?
Oh, I'm just Tammy Bean. That's it.
Talk a little bit about what brought you to put this podcast together. How about that?
Oh, because I'm so proud of them, especially since we talked about Nicaragua and their latest project, and for me it's come full circle because with Bridges to Prosperity, they started out in Nicaragua and Honduras, and so I just wanted to kind of highlight everything that they've done. And Kenny is just a trooper and a true leader, and working with him on site and just seeing the growth over these many, many years, and the number of NMSU students that come through this program. Their lives have got to be touched. They can't walk away from this program without changing their lives. And so I thought it'd be great to hear about how it has changed their lives by serving in third world countries, you know?
Absolutely. So let's ask a group question first. So, how would you explain your bond to someone who wasn't there where you guys were serving, outside of the United States in a lot of cases, right?
You can take it. I would describe it as unique, really deep friendships, honest, real. If I haven't seen these people that went on the project with me in a couple years, we'll pick up like no time has passed. And you just trust them. I trust them. They're good friends. It's more like family. It's more like a sibling relationship, is how I would explain it.
That is beautiful. Anybody else want to add to that?
To add to what Molly said, I think it's just a warm environment full of very different personalities and characters that come together to create something much bigger than themselves. And it's just amazing to see how it can help you grow personally and professionally.
I love that. That's great. Anybody else want to add to that? Everybody good? I mean, what else anybody else want to say anything to those 2 points?
Kenny always likes to compare it to the 3 weeks we take on these trips would be the equivalent to living with somebody for a year, here at home. So, I think that really just speaks volumes to how close we get to each other and just how well we get to know one another on these trips. You just get very, very close.
I love that, and it's just kind of a special bond that you share in that space, right?
If I could jump in, Dustin.
Yeah, sure.
This is Kenny. It's interesting, and Tammy had talked about, the history of the group. Mid-2000s, there was a couple former Peace Corps volunteers and a couple veterans from the armed forces that were floating around the College of Engineering, and we've all been in those weird situations where, these 4 people were not, 18-year-olds starting at college, and they were kind of wandering around, and they found each other and started hanging out. And I don't remember quite how I first bumped into them, but the conversation was, we don't have a place, we don't fit in here.
Wow.
We're not 18. We didn't just, move here from our hometown. We've served overseas, 2 people with Peace Corps, 2 people in the military, and we would love to find a way to fit in. And so there was probably some adult beverages exchanged in the process. But in those conversations, of course, the Peace Corps volunteers had been international. 2 folks from the military had been international. They said, can we do something international that would attract people to some sort of group? And, the word service only came up 97 times.
In one conversation, right?
Right. And so that was the beginning of it, that service is almost like a drug.
Right.
Where you said it, once you get into it, it's hard to not want to keep doing it.
Sure.
And so from those 4 people trying to find a way to fit in at the university was how the group started. And then you put it out there that, hey, we want to travel to different parts and do something for somebody else. And that's how, and then students wanted to get involved and everybody wanted to get involved. So that was a really long introduction to say that you use the word bond, and there's nothing like being with a group of people for an extended period of time and you're doing something, like Diana said. It's like living with somebody for a year. But if anybody's ever been in the military, you've been in the Peace Corps, you've been in the band camp, name your situation where a bunch of people are thrown together in an unfamiliar situation and you're doing something. When you get out of that, it's hard to let it go.
Right. Sure, I understand that. So I guess to follow up and kind of, feather to the other questions for the group, first, and then anybody that wants to answer any individual questions, we can go through that. But what were the biggest challenges that your group faced together, and how did you deal with it or overcome those challenges, those obstacles? Anybody want to pipe in and give their points? You're welcome. Go ahead. I'm listening.
You got it, Nyla.
I would say something that could be challenging for us, especially as an organization that's growing more and more. It's finding or helping people out by being able to still feel part of the organization. So it's like as we prepare for these trips and the PMs get all their information and start planning on scheduling and all that, it's just having that communication with people that can't make it for meetings, or for some reason they just can't get too involved within the school year.
Right.
Having that open communication with them on what's going on, what's happening, what to keep in mind, what's the next step.
Yeah, kind of the communication. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So definitely that's something I think we do great by having just adding everyone to the group chat who wants to be involved and sending out constant reminders of like, hey, this is coming up, this is what what has been happening, and things like that.
Anybody else want to add to that?
Tell them about the ferro cement tank, Diana.
I think one of the biggest challenges we faced on trips, not just the ferro cement little house, but it's the fact that there's so many of us who are new. We're not all engineers. There's a lot of different majors. There's a lot of us who don't have any real world experience, but we are having to come up with solutions as we go because we can only plan so much ahead of time. And we're always running into like obstacles that we didn't plan for. So we kind of have to brainstorm with what we have there, the resources, like the people we have, the tools we have, and just kind of make it work and
be resourceful, kind of, right? Is that what you're saying? Like, kind of be resourceful? Yeah. That's what a lot of us have to do that volunteer so much, is like, okay, we're going to make this work. God's going to show up, whatever the case may be. And it always works out, that's the beauty of it. A lot of people are afraid to volunteer because they think that they'll mess up or won't be good enough or whatever, and just showing up and telling the truth and doing the work and communicating well is really the first step, in my opinion. I don't know if any of you guys agree or disagree with that.
Well, I have a similar story too. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've never had this many people on a podcast recording before. This is great. I just love how everybody's like quiet and like waiting for the other person. This is great. All right, go ahead, guys.
No, you're good. I was just going to say that I agree, but you're good.
All right, great.
Oh my gosh.
All right, next up.
I was just going to jump in and talk about, in 2019, when we went to Guatemala, we had quite a few, I think we had a group of around 30 people, and we had quite a few of us that were sick within like the first week and a half of our 3-week period there. And something that this question reminded me of is that Kenny always told us, don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
If you don't feel good, tell somebody, tell your friend, tell whoever, Kenny, an older person, whatever. And that's kind of really stuck with me after the trips is, ask for help. It's okay to rely on other people. And, that was obviously really challenging, and we got through it okay. And we had to kind of problem solve in the moment and help each other out. But that's just kind of something that I feel like really helped us in that time, was don't suffer in silence, rely on each other. Again, just coming back to that kind of trust.
That's great. And I'm looking at this document that Tammy sent me about, the kind of the bios on everybody, Kenny, and this is all going to go in the show notes of the podcast. But I got to say, guys, having this younger energy on the show, I always go from wisdom and experience and everything like that. And that's usually people that have gray hair or no hair, you know what I'm saying? But for me, you know, like the youth that like the young guys that are on here, young guys and gals, you know, that are on here that are basically saying, you know, it is rewarding to serve and not expect anything in return. It's just good karma. It's just being a good person. And, you know, and I don't know if you guys feel like this, but I just want to throw this in here. You know, when I served the soldiers of, I guess now it's Fort Hood again. It was Fort Cavazos and then Fort Hood before that. But, like, we have a fishing ministry, and that's one of the things I've been heavily involved in over the last 12 years or so when I started serving there. And I do different tasks and everything, but I almost get more of it out of it than, like, the people that are, that served our military, you know, that are exiting the military in the Soldiers Recovery Unit or the Soldiers Transition Unit. And it's just like so cool with a governmental agency working with an NGO like Crosswater Outfitters, you know, is as a fishing ministry. You know, everybody says fishing ministry. Oh my gosh, I almost feel like I get more out of serving than they do as recipients of the service. I don't know if any of you guys feel that way too, but it is so rewarding intrinsically, right, on the inside when we serve like this, and like we come together, we bond, we have like a band of brothers, a band of sisters. You know what I'm saying? Did anybody resonate with that? Don't all answer at once. Just kidding.
Well, I did. This is Tammy, you know, and I really feel like, you know, with bonding with Kenny over this from the very first time, I feel like he'll answer the phone when I call, you know, and it's just a great friendship and the stories. And what really, it's hard work. What really touches my heart is that Kenny will ask me to go, and I'll do my best to go on these trips, knowing how hard of work it is, but also that the service is there, and knowing that it will change my life if I go. And these projects has changed my life in so many different ways. So that's my 2 cents.
That is touching. I mean, that's where I was trying to kind of go with, like, eliciting a response from such a question, because for me, it's not so much. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, he's a smart guy, he's an intellectual guy." I'm like, no, my heart is on service. You know, the old saying we have in sales is, you know, in the marketing world, is it's hard to be nervous when your heart is on service. You know, which I told you guys before the call began, and this is a unique experience to bring so many people that have a heart of service together on one recording. You know, to see how it changed their lives, you know, how it impacted them, and how to invite other people, which is kind of my Trojan horse of the podcast, is, you know, to empower other people to go find something important to them to serve. You guys, I mean, you guys on this show, you know, are basically leaving the country to go serve somebody, you know, in an area of need. And to do that when you're young, and to develop that compassion and that empathy of understanding how the rest of the world lives, and people that you just couldn't believe it. Like, you come back with a different perspective, don't you guys? Right?
Well, let's ask them some individual questions.
Okay, that's fine. That's what I'm. So I'll go with this one then. This is one of the ones Tammy wrote. So tell me about who you were before the experience and who you are now. Anybody can answer this. Just chime on in.
How about Daniel?
All right, one after the other. Shoot.
There you go. Before this experience, I was really involved in community service, whether it was, my mom's an elementary school teacher, so I've been helping her in summer school or like anything that she needs since I was in elementary.
Wow.
So for me, community service has always been a part of my life. But going to Nicaragua, it was like an eye-opener, because you see stuff and you like realize what we do have in the States and like what we have every day and we take for granted. So being able to help them in this service and allowing them to have a little bit of what we have and take for granted every day is really rewarding, because it like opens your eyes and your heart to see like we're doing good things for those that need it, while we're over here like sometimes taking it for granted.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's really what I noticed the most, like leaving the country for even the first time. I mean, I've been to Israel, Costa Rica, Bermuda, you know, places you think of vacation destinations, but you come back from any of those places. Like, one of the things I always tell people is in Bermuda, having metered water is a luxury. Most people collect rainwater and take like 1 minute showers, okay, or maybe 2 minutes. But like I said, they get in, get out because water is a commodity, even though you're surrounded by water. Desalinization plants and that kind of stuff aren't that big in that little island. And a lot of people go, oh, really? The hotels have plenty of metered water. Right, those are hotels. The people that actually live there. You come back and you don't realize how much you take for granted in America,
I was going to pick on Daniel just because he was project manager for one of the local projects where they rehabilitated a baseball field in this little bitty town in southern New Mexico. Daniel, how'd you get 50 people to show up on a weekend to fix a baseball field?
I don't know how to answer that question.
I love those answers.
Because I feel like, I guess going back a little bit to the question, before joining NWL, I think I consider myself, I always had a heart of service, but starting college and just trying to figure out what I want to do, like what club to join. After joining NWL, I realized that there was a world that I never knew existed, where I found myself surrounded by confident and service-driven people who took giving back to the community to a whole other level.
Sure.
I think the passion and the initiative inspired me, and I guess I grew into someone who not only wanted to give, but knew how to take action and lead with purpose. And I think getting those 50 people out there, I think it just took the idea of like, hey, we're doing this for the community, and just people that had those same qualities, I guess, to take action and lead, wanted to be there, and that's what brought them there. Just the fact that they wanted to be there and that there was a group taking action and actually making a difference. I think that's what actually got people there.
Wow.
Awesome. Proud of you.
That's wonderful. Can I just also say that I think that service when you're young, like some of you on this show are, and some of you that listen to this show are, you're getting out of college, you're in college still, you're trying to figure out everything like that. I can tell you that even with a fraternity, I was with Kappa Kappa Psi, which was my music fraternity. We would go do service projects like Habitat for Humanity and just things local in the area. And it felt good to give back, but it was part of that brand in that fraternity. And I was looking for ways and almost praying for ways, like, God, show me, like where I can serve. And all of a sudden, things started just happening. Like, things that you couldn't do yourself. You know what I'm saying? And when you put it all in God's hands, God's responsible for the outcome. And to see you guys this early in life, it's so inspiring, as I said earlier, as you guys are going through and coming out of college and everything, because it's going to make you, it's going to build the character and integrity, if it hasn't already, to be able to go do well by doing good. That's a whole, concept I always believe in. If you have the means to do so, the travel, whatever, the money, whatever, God's going to provide the way for you to be effective with what he's given you and help and feed the sheep, And, the thing is, you also become a heart of a teacher, not the heart of a salesman. You're not trying to screw people, You're trying to give of empathy and compassion because you've shown empathy and compassion to the least of these, if you will. Does that make sense, guys?
Well, it does. I was going to say this earlier, is that my passion and my desire to do the fundraising for the projects with Bridges to Prosperity and New Mexico State University, Aggies Without Limits, was boredom. Like Kenny was talking about, he was like, we were looking for something to do.
Right. And
I was down in New Mexico working in economic development for 2 rural cooperatives and utility cooperatives, and part of my job was to be a Rotarian.
Right.
And I did not know what that meant, but I went every Wednesday and had a burger and fries and listened to what it was. It's my first time to this type of service organization. And they sent out a little list. It said, sign up here. And if you want to do any of this, service for the Rotarian Club. And the only one I had not done in nonprofit world is international. So I signed my name to it, and then 3 months go by, no one has talked to me about it. I stumbled upon Virtual Prosperity, and it just so happens that the the founder, Ken France of Bridges Prosperity, was a Rotarian. So I just learned how to fund these projects by using the Rotary funds and how they can match them at every level in the organization. And that's how that happened with Nicaragua and El Salvador and Central America. But, you know, I was looking for something to do if I was going to be a part of that organization. Quite frankly, I was out of boredom, you know. But,
yeah.
But to say that it was going to change my life at that time, I did not know.
You had no idea, but it was about taking the first step, right, Tammy?
Yes, and it's because of the students, you know, it's because of Kenny, it's because of the people in the field. And one of the things that Bridges to Prosperity does is they bring in these corporations that'll send people from all over the U.S. to come do a team building when they build bridges in real life. And to see those people have such an emotional experience by bonding with the communities, and like these students have done with the people that they serve, they'll be forever in their minds and hearts. And that's really cool. It's just...
That is amazing, yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to ask you guys a group question. That's supposed to be an individual question, but anybody can answer this, because this dovetails right off of what Tammy was saying. Was there a time when you realized this is why I came here? And Kenny, you can call somebody out if you want to, like you did before, if you'd like for somebody specific to answer. Of course, you have that agency here.
Yeah, can I go ahead and
look on?
Go ahead. Whoever. Yeah, that's fine. You're good.
Go, Nyla. You or Diana, because you've seen you guys in action both in Unia Pacala and Nueva Esperanza, trying to fix, because to dovetail off what you said, Dustin, the whole thing of not being a salesman but being a teacher.
Right.
One of the things I think in local or international service projects, sometimes we think we know what's best for somebody else. And a lot of times, a lot of organizations think they know what's best without communicating with the folks that they're supposedly helping.
Right.
And anyway,
go ahead. Yeah, I understand. I've experienced that, Kenny. I know what you're saying. I get it.
So yeah, Nyla or Diana, about working in the community and when you realized, yeah, this is it.
So when I was project manager, when I realized that I've made an impact, I've left my mark, was just like once the water got to the tanks and they started coming up of the spigots, and just like, because we were supposed to walk around and make sure that all the spigots were like getting water.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were walking around in groups, like seeing all the people like bursting of joy, laughing, children playing with the water that was like coming off their property like 5 feet away from where they lived.
And they were carrying it before, I'm sure. Like they were going a long travel, to get water before, right? Nyla?
Yeah, they used to walk a lot just to get a gallon of water.
Right.
And having that so close to them was just amazing to watch. Seeing their joy, their expressions, it just made it all worth it.
Okay, next up.
To add to Nyla's, not from the Unia Bacala trip, but the first trip we took, I think it was all of our first trips, was to Nueva Esperanza, Guatemala. We had been on a team laying pipe in the trenches, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kenny, but it was about 2.5 kilometers of trench, I believe, our first year.
The feed line.
Yeah. we were walking through the banana fields and the bean fields and the rice fields, just walking and laying pipe and gluing pipe, and we were just kind of like, wow, we really hope this works, and just kind of a little, you can't help but doubt yourself when you're doing something new. And so when we first turned on the water, that it was going through the pipes and we were running into all these leaks, and we were just like, wow, this is actually working.
Yes.
I was on a team with Daniel and another one of our alumni. His name is Lucas. And we were tasked with walking the trench from start to finish and like back and forth, making sure there was no leaks. But we finally got to see the water for the first time get to the water tanks. And I think that was the moment where we were just like, it worked, guys. Like, it was just so fulfilling, because from there it was just let gravity do its job.
Oh, that's great. And tell me a little more, like, the technical side of the water systems and the bridges and the things that you guys build as a team, and then kind of in the different countries and that kind of stuff. Just elaborate a little more on that if you can, please.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're structured in a way where we have our international project managers. Nyla's mentioned she was one before. And so our project managers are usually the ones that are more in communication with the community, what they're going to need. The group, usually the two project managers, president, vice president, and Kenny, take a trip before our actual summer trip, just to go get measurements, meet the community, kind of get the layout of the community, any of the areas where we're going to sleep, areas where you're going to use the bathroom, shower, where we're going to get groceries, materials, things like that. And so we spend the entire semester, our spring term, just planning for that, getting counts of like how much pipe are we going to need for this water system, or are we going to need a pump, are we going to need any extra things like solar materials. Like Nyla's project was a solar powered water system versus the project before that had been just gravity based system. But yeah, so we start looking into that. We start getting quantities. We start calling up the local hardware stores, getting that material ready, communicating with the town so that they can get the material. And it's just a lot of kind of guesswork. We have measurements. We have an idea. We've got Kenny, who's probably the biggest resource. He doesn't give himself enough credit. But we're just kind of figuring it out as we go and trying to use what we've learned in class and getting help from the alumni for that. And it really is just like we're going to try this and we hope this works. If not, we'll plan something as we go. But it's just, I don't know how else to put that in words.
Just think it's like a kind of discovery, if you will. It's like an adventure of discovery, because the one thing I always ask on this podcast, don't look at the finish line. Look at what you become in the process, okay? What you become in the process of what you do to serve other people, to be the hands and feet of God's love, of whatever you believe. Like, what do you become in the process of what you're doing? And the one thing that I see more than anything at your age, at y'all's age, I hate to sound like an old person, I'm 46, but when I was doing flood disaster relief when I was in my freshman year in college, it was a bonded experience with me and a lot of my friends, because just for the time that we served, there's still jokes I remember from back then of, just even though we were dealing with a disaster, on our hands, like it turned us into servant leaders. And as bad as some things happen, like the natural disaster I live half a mile away from right here in Sandy Creek Ranches and Leander, you see people pulling together and volunteering and doing things in natural disasters, and I'm just sitting there going, why just natural disasters? Like, we should be celebrating Thanksgiving every day and a service day every day, in some way, or every weekend or whatever, just to remind ourselves to be grateful, and then also to be servant leaders in the community.
Yeah, that's great.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if you guys realize what you're becoming in the process as young college students, and even as older folks, that are on the show here. Like, what you are becoming in the process is the point of the process, of what you learned, what you became, like how you grew. And that's so much important. It just goes so much with volunteering, because it's selfless instead of selfish. I said at the end of one of my books, I wrote, about, we binge watch Netflix, but we can't find the time to go to the food bank and volunteer, and processing, donations. We go impulse on Amazon, but we don't take the time to send some money to, to our favorite charity. And like what you guys are showing me is that selfless, like a lot of people think, younger guy, coming out of college, younger guys and gals, they don't care, they're too addicted to their phones, and you guys like go without phones. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you showing like the inner workings of the technical things that you guys, have improved for these folks with bridges and plumbing and everything like that. to make their lives better, because you're leaving a mark and a legacy to the next generation.
I'm going to pick on Lynette. You were talking about leaders, Dustin. So Lynette, it was her first year this past time in Nicaragua, and she mainly got assigned to repairing a bridge. And so I'm sure, I'll let her talk about it, but I'm sure she was like, okay, whatever, tell me what I'm supposed to do. But a couple weeks in, when I would go check out the bridge, everybody would say, Lynette knows what's going on, and if there was a problem, Lynette, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, she would handle it. Yeah, I love this. This is great. Keep going. Yeah.
Go, Lynette.
We're ready for you, Lynette. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I didn't know what I was doing either. I was going off of what was happening. I had jammed my finger like the first day I was in that project. So for like a day, I couldn't really do hard labor because it was my right hand, and I was just trying to figure out what I could do. And I just fit myself. We were replacing some of the planks that go across the bridge, and I asked our leader of the bridge and what we were supposed to do, and he was busy. We had other issues with the vertical outriggers, with the outriggers and the vertical components. And so to keep stuff going along, I guess I just told people, like, let's fix the boards. We already had them. Try to figure out which ones were the most damaged that we could replace. And so that's kind of where it went off of. I didn't know what I was doing either. We were all just, I was just figuring it out as I went too.
That's great. Anybody else have any other thoughts on that?
That's impressive. That's very impressive.
That is. I mean, I wanted to reply to that and to ask for anybody to dovetail off of that if you wanted to, but that is really cool. And that kind of feathers into a question I had for you guys too. How, like, for you younger folks that are, you know, in like, how, well, even for all of us here, how has the experiences that you've had in other countries, of the volunteer and the service work and the engineering and everything that goes into what you guys have respectively done, how has that shifted your vision for the future, whether it's like personal, professional, school, work, or just life in general? Does anybody want to answer that?
Go, Molly.
Like how has it shaped you? Yeah, there you go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I was in AWL for 3 years or 4 years, and then I moved to Colorado, so I moved away and I couldn't be as involved as an alumni. And I started working. I was a speech therapist for about 4 years after that. And I chose to be a speech therapist like earlier, like in high school. But I can say that as, you know, I went through these projects with AWL, they did really form like a love of, and just like kind of like a need to be in that like supporting, helping, service kind of role. Because it fills your cup. It fills my cup. And that's kind of what I realized. And that was kind of a common thread throughout, you know, my time as a speech therapist, and now I'm trying to transition to something else. But I think it's still the baseline that I know about myself that I think does come from AWL in large part is I want to have that service in some capacity, to help other people in my career. You know, so I think it just really laid a foundation for me, and just helped me learn about myself. You know, what are my values? What do I want to do as a professional? Like, is it about money? No. Is it about, you know, trying to help people along the way? Like, that really resonated with me. So. Oh,
that's great. That's really good. Okay, good. So you guys have all answered very well, by the way. I mean, this has been a very fun podcast here. And I know you guys all have stuff to do, so I'll kind of wrap things up here. But anybody can answer this one. Really, I know I kind of touched on this already. What surprised you most about living and working in a completely different culture, country, lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? Like, what surprised you the most about that? Anybody? Kenny, you can lead this one.
What surprised me the most with this group, and I know I think the back question of your question was, what surprised us the most about living and working in another culture,
another country, just someplace way different than the United States, which most places are, in some way.
I'm going to twist it a little bit.
Go for it.
The human capacity to do things.
Yep.
So, in this last project in Nicaragua, the main component was this health center, 2,000-foot health center made out of stone. And there's always naysayers, both in the local community and within our group. You can't do that in 3 weeks. There's just too much work to do. How are you even pretending that you're going to be able to complete that? And what always surprises me the most is the group's ability to say, yeah, nothing's impossible. So the very last day, we were supposed to pour the floor of this community center. So 2,000 square foot times 4 to 6 inches deep. It's about 24 cubic yards of concrete, which is 4 concrete trucks that you see driving down the thing. And there were several people in the group, including one of the leaders, who said, you can't do that. You can't do that in a day.
Right.
And then...
Watch me.
Watch me.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm that guy, too. And I think people that are dedicated to serving other people out of compassion and that kind of stuff, they will find a way to move mountains. I don't know. That's just my thought, is just seeing the men that I've worked around and the women I've worked around that are really bought into the idea of intrinsic motivation, of getting out there and inspiring and doing something that's impactful for the world in whatever part of the world it is that, it shows integrity and character, but also emotional resilience. When problems happen, really, you're like, well, I've seen worse than this. You know what I'm saying? You have something to compare it to, because you've seen how the rest of the world lives in a lot of countries. And that's the one thing that I go back to, is what the things that we take for granted that we could use our time better for as Americans here, and then encourage other people to find something of hope that gives you meaning. Everybody has something that's important to them, but, to give back to, that is really where the happiness and joy in life comes from, is not from the stuff you receive, but the stuff you give.
Oh, yeah. No, move mountains. And there's great pictures of Diana and Lynette covered in concrete paste because they've been shoveling for 12 hours.
Oh, my God. 12 hours straight, probably, yeah.
12 hours straight shoveling. And they did it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just blown away at just that kind of that what you become in the process. Like I was saying earlier, when you do the work, volunteers, these younger guys, and gals doing this. I mean, I am so inspired and just lit on fire to have this conversation with you guys. And I've really been looking forward to this because, number one, I've never had so many people on one show at a time. And number two, I've recorded a lot of podcasts and produced a lot. But, also, this is like a bonded experience right here. This is like us sharing the meaning of what it meant for us, that it was meaningful and why service is important will hopefully inspire a whole bunch of other people to go out and find their own ways to serve. Just anybody want to comment on my crazy musings there?
Yeah, I think I'll add to that. I think how you were saying earlier about who you become in the process, and not just looking at the finish line, but I think being part of this group and just the various projects I've been on, just looking around and seeing how everybody with me is here to make a difference. And I guess that's what I want to make a point out of the AWO. The group, the organization, they're able to make that difference, and that's their main goal, to actually make the difference and not just say that they're going to. And just seeing these type of people just makes me want to do more and more. And because how Kenny explained that, and how you said, Dustin, watch me, let's
do this. Yeah, that thing of, we can make this possible, but it doesn't require us to get paid to do it. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole new meaning that you find when you start to give of your time and your treasure and your talent, the three things we really have to give: time, money, or service. This is skilled service or whatever. Things that we know about, like the architecture on these bridges and these water systems and that kind of stuff. So, that's the thing, is just when you give it away, you never know what's going to come your way with the kind of karmic value of that, and you don't expect anything in return. These people can't repay you for what you did for them. And I just hats off to everybody on this show for your individual gifts that you have given of your soul and your time and talent and treasure as well. The physical and the emotional energy that you gave to projects like these, because this is just inspiring me. That I looking at these pictures, this document that Tammy sent over kind of for the show prep, I'm just like, y'all are beautiful and just intelligent, and just in so many different ways. It's just so refreshing to see this. So I don't mean to go like off in the deep end here, but I'm just saying this is so cool. This really energizes me to see these pictures of, and I'm going to put some of these in the show notes too, but these pictures of Kenny and all these places that all you young guys have been, and it is so cool. And anyway, I hope y'all will also join the Empowered Life Facebook group page. The Empowered Life Nation. That is the group, and I want you guys to be a part of that and post some of your own pictures in there too, if you guys don't mind. Just shameless plug there for the group on Facebook.
Awesome, and that's exactly the response I'm hoping that you would have, Dustin, and also the viewers, listeners of this podcast, is just to be inspired and passionate and.
Yeah, go do likewise, kind of like, go do likewise. And the heart of service, Jesus once said, your treasure is where your heart is also, or depending on the, and I talk about that a lot on the show and other shows, is that, I can look at your bank account and see like what you've spent for expenses and what you've had for income and what you've donated. And I can tell a lot about a person by just looking at a person's budget, their bank account, that kind of stuff, what they deem is important. Where you put your treasure is where your heart goes also. And that's what I want you guys all to remember that are on here, is that, and everybody listening to this, like, that is the message of what I try to preach every day on this show, is like, what an inspiration that you guys are to inspire other people to go do the best they can for other people that need it the most.
Yeah, and with Kenny, I think, and Kenny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a lifelong journey. It's not just one trip. This is a lifelong journey of helping others, and so it's really important.
And and Tammy, it doesn't just open up, okay, they're leaders for those communities there when they're there. They come back being leaders of the communities here. And that's why service work is so important, especially in college and back high school, middle school. I remember doing different service projects and everything. But again, whatever you can join, I mean, it's not hard to find a place that needs help as far as like volunteers. We have had an amazing, to this natural disaster we've had here in Central Texas. I mean, amazing response. And, and Tammy, tell everybody how you and I met and talked about putting the show together to begin with, to talk about, we couldn't have done this on our own, okay, as far as meeting each other where we did. Tammy, tell us it real quick.
Oh, we were at a Great White Shark Society meeting. I think it's the inception of it, maybe.
Uh-huh, yep.
But
the dinner, yep.
I think he's been on your podcast before, but he's also about serving the youth in the wildlife outdoors with great white sharks. He's a great white shark fan, so.
Yep, among many other things, wild sheep and a lot of other things. But yeah, that's where we met. And like, how else would we have met if he hadn't put that event together, Tammy? That's my point.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and then done this show with all these great people. This is good stuff.
Yeah, it's just, and so I just want to thank New Mexico State University, Aggies Without Limits, for joining us today and for giving me all the information that I'm so proud of you, and I'm so inspired. And Kenny, thank you always. You're my hero. So.
And Kenny, I think you're a hero for a lot of people on this podcast here recording, because I mean, everybody has sung your praises, that's talked about you, and I know you're humble and everything like that, and that's a great humble servant leader right there. That's a good example of somebody that leads these kids to do well by doing good. Because, Kenny, I don't know if you realize, and Tammy, I don't know if you realize, by doing what you guys respectively do, you're touching generations that are like children's of children, like unborn generations in the future. And in 100 years, we all may be forgotten. You know, the one thing I study is the Latin Stoic phrase of memento mori, remember that you must die. And then, you know, the memento vivere, which is remember that you must live. And then a new one that I learned, memento amori, remember that you must love. And what you guys are doing is showing love with your hands, feet, travel plans, everything like that, taking time out of your life to grow in special ways that just absolutely fire me up. So y'all have really made my day. I just want to tell you guys that, all of you on this call.
Well,
Does anybody any last
thank
words?
Thank you for the words. It's pretty effortless on my part. The people on this podcast are my family.
Oh, I love this.
I'm gonna lose it here. I couldn't get up in the morning without these people. So,
wow.
It's a self-serving thing, if you will, because, like I said, they're my family, and they make me get up. And yeah, we do some great stuff, but yeah, that question about what's one word you would use to describe the group to somebody who's not a part of it, and for me, it's family.
Nice. How about anybody else want to chime in on that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can we go around the room and everybody give either one
Yeah.
word?
Yeah. Leave the show with that. That's perfect. Yeah, that's gonna be a great exit to the show. What is the one word for each of you? And Kenny, you go ahead and do the round table. That's fine. Go ahead and just start calling names.
Go, Molly.
Lifelong.
Wow.
Go, Lynette.
Mine was also family.
Hmm.
Go, Daniel.
Awesome.
I think mine would have to be hope.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Go, Nyla.
For mine, I would say growth.
Cool.
Go, Diana.
I would say reliable, not just because of like, oh, you can rely on one another during these trips for technical knowledge, for personal or mental or emotional struggles, but it goes beyond just a group. Like, if I break down on the side of the highway, or if any of us ever have any problems in our personal life, we can always call one another, one of the alumni, Kenny, and somebody is always going to be there for you.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, what a bond. A bond that goes past, you guys being on site somewhere together, or on a work site, Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just diarrhea of the mouth when it comes to like the great things I want to say right now. Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, Dustin, for hosting the show and letting them come. And I just wanted everyone to know about it. It's an amazing program. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. We're going to bring some awareness to this. I want each of you guys that are listening to this to promote this and talk about, the two main foundations or organizations that, that do this kind of work. And I'm going to put some information about them here from the show notes that I have from Tammy, to, just kind of, talk about these fine people on this call here that we're recording for the podcast. And, again, the whole point of, I'll just kind of close it out here by saying the whole point of everything that I try to feature on this podcast with giant interviews like this or just one-on-one guests is go be the light for the world and shine the light in the darkness, because darkness cannot hide in the light. And the thing is, when we're selfless, when we're service-minded, and we're selfless and not selfish, like so many people are these days of all ages, are selfish and they care just about their own stuff or whatever. When we lay down our problems and take upon the fact that we don't have it that bad, that's the thing. That's one thing that I listened to, a thing about stress and anxiety and what causes stress is the thing is we're not in control of certain things, and that stresses us out. And so the one way to do, to look up and look up at the sky, wherever you look for inspiration, and you go, you know what, I've got it pretty darn good. And I bet I can almost, summarize the fact of all the talk here about, the different things and how this has changed you and how this has formed you. I mean, imagine the impact you young college folks and post-college graduates are going to make in the world with the legacies you left in those countries, and then in your own lives, the people you're going to touch. The point is that generations after generations benefit from our legacy that we leave behind. Because at some point, we're all going to have to push our chips in the middle of the table, and we lose everything when we die. but the death is just an illusion, because the thing is that the treasures we store in heaven, or wherever you store treasures, that are spiritual gifts like that, you guys are being light to the world. And I want to thank you guys for joining this show. And I'll do a little outro here after this recording to kind of close things out. But again, go and tell. Just spread the word of service-minded leadership, and the fact that you guys I want you guys to all know that you are light holders of that flame of hope, that humanity cares about one another, and the fact that there's a deeper meaning than just living and, the dash, if you will. A lot of people talk about that with funerals these days, the dash that we leave behind. We're born with nothing, we die with nothing, but what we mean to somebody else is the dash. The point in the middle is where it counts. And every day is a new day to make a difference. And you guys have made profound differences you may not even realize. Touch people through a ripple effect that you never may have known you touched. But God notices. Thank you guys all for being on this call.
Thanks, Dustin. Thanks for having this forum. Much appreciated.
This is my first virtual panel podcast recording I've ever done. This has been great. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And again, DustinsPodcast.com for the sponsor, business stuff, whatever. BusinessWithDustin.com. Find me on social media, whatever. And please, everybody that's listening and part of this podcast, please share this with your friends. And let's inspire and grow and hope together. Thank you guys so much again for joining us.
Thank you for listening to The Empowered Life with Dustin Vaughn Warncke. To learn more about Dustin, please visit his creator hub at dustinsprojects.com. Warncke Enterprises, Dustin's very own digital services company, can be found at businesswithdustin.com, and his books are available at either website or at dustinsbooks.com. Audio presentations of each of Dustin's latest books can be found on YouTube and streamed at no cost. Please subscribe to the Empowered Life podcast on your favorite podcast app, and thank you for your support and sharing this show with a friend.